Hi, I'm Bruce Beckett. I have the privilege of working with Mark and the Washington Retail Association team primarily on labor and workforce issues. And I'm going to touch on four outcomes of where we are in the session at the moment. The first is on legislation to put into place predictive or restrictive scheduling, such as what we've seen in Seattle and other communities around the nation. I'm happy to report that here at the midpoint of the session, that legislation appears to be dead for the session and won't be considered any further, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, the second piece of legislation is legislation that would have changed entirely the state system of classifying employees versus independent contractors. This is a bill that was a priority of the organized labor community and had a lot of energy behind it early on in the session until about 1,200 hair salon operators showed up on the Capitol and really put a wonderful show of grassroots to the issue, and now the bill is probably going to be turned into a study. I might mention that on the scheduling issue, although we have not seen any language yet, it's not going to surprise us if there's also an interim study, task force type of process on that issue as well. The other two issues I want to mention are the legislation that essentially prohibits the use of non-compete agreements in some limited circumstances. It's an issue that we've been working on for 2 years, and we do have if you will, an agreement now in place. We're still working on one provision of the bill, but the bill has passed both the House and the Senate in a form that meets the Washington Retail Association principles. Like I said, we're working on one other piece related to enforcement on it, but I do expect that to be satisfactory as well. And the final issue that I'll mention has to do with what those of you in California might refer to as a Private Attorney General's Act. Essentially, it was a bill that would allow a private right of action on behalf of a third party for virtually every employment law in the state of Washington. It was a bill that came into the process very late, and after a tremendous amount of work all the way through the midpoint of the session, I think we can safely say that that bill right now is not going to be moving through the process, but we can probably expect to see something close to it next year. So thank you. I think one thing that I would mention is that the support of our members, the letters, the anecdotal and data that all of you provided from your experiences around the country on scheduling in particular and independent contracting were extraordinarily helpful as we work through these issues in the first half. Thank you.